Ross, thanks so much for coming in.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So this is the first time I've done one of these live, and I thought it'd just be cool to meet in person. I know you came up from, what was it, Boca?
Boca Raton, yeah.
Awesome. You have 2 locations here in South Beach. I ordered from one of the Pure Greens at the Good Times Hotel, and it was delicious. So it was good to try the actual product before having you on.
That's amazing.
So Ross, tell me a little bit about your story and how you came up with the idea of launching Pure Green, as well as why franchise. You had successful corporate locations. You could have just kept on expanding from there.
Absolutely. So I started the company back in 2014, and my background's actually in fitness. I opened up high-end health clubs all over the Northeast. I owned my own gym, sold it, got into consulting, and started with yoga studios, Pilates studios, specialty boutique fitness, and then juice bars, and came to the realization that when you look at optimal health, 80% of getting results is weighted in nutrition, only 20% fitness. And I wanted to focus on making the most massive impact on people's health as possible. And that was really the foundation behind creating Pure Green. And this was back in 2014 in New York City, one of the most competitive cities in the world.
If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere.
Exactly. And we didn't start franchising until more recently when COVID started back in 2020.
And did you make the move like down here together with the business? How did that come about?
So the way that happened was my wife is from Boca Raton.
Okay.
Her family's in Boca, and we were living in New York. COVID hit in her small 1-bedroom apartment, and she knows exactly how my brain works, a typical entrepreneurial brain. So she's like, she kind of played me. This is what she did. She said, Ross, she said, honey, if I can reduce our cost of living by 40%, would you consider moving to Florida? So she got me. So I'm like, well, of course. If you could reduce our expenses by 40%, count me in. Sure enough, she found this incredible apartment in Miami, skyscraper, wraparound balcony, beautiful. And that's how we moved to Florida.
So you spent COVID down in Brickell downtown, and then you moved up to
at Edgewater. And then from there, we have a 7-month-old baby now.
Nice.
And so we made our way to the Delray Beach, Boca Raton area.
Very cool. And how have you gone about like site selection and deciding where to open up the next Pure Green?
So we have a real estate team that's called Locate.ai.
Oh yeah.
And they use artificial intelligence to analyze the demographic and the psychographics. And we use that's part of the data, but more so it's about the tenant anchor mix. So we love opening up next to high-end supermarkets, high-end gyms, specialty boutique gyms. Ultimately, it's all about the traffic. We want that walk-by traffic. I mean, right now, we're here at your office on Lincoln Road. Like, that's the perfect area with that level of traffic for Pure Green.
And I know Sunset Harbor, I live a few blocks away, but you must have like 7 boutique fitness studios there. So.
Yes. Whenever you have like so many specialty boutique fitness in a 1-block radius, it makes for an incredible Pure Green location.
And who's the persona of a Pure Green? Who would you like just keep marketing to and you'd want coming back every day?
Yeah, we really have an inclusive brand. So the typical persona varies depending on where the store is located. If we're close by a college, we get a lot of students, and students place a premium on health. They understand the benefits of superfoods. So that demographic we do really well with. But then we have locations in more corporate areas. So when there's a lot of corporations working close by, we get a lot of them. And then we're in communities, more community-driven areas. We're getting the moms and the families. And so it's really whoever lives in a local area, people who are focused on making that transition toward a healthier lifestyle.
And how do you go about pricing and discounts? Because I ordered today from the Good Time Hotel location, and it was reasonably priced compared to some of the other options here in South Beach. And there was also like buy one, get one free, which as a group, like it's very compelling. How do you go about that? Because I don't see that much pricing and discount innovation here in South Beach, at least.
Yeah, so we have a really strong relationship with some of our third parties, DoorDash, Uber Eats, and Grubhub. And so we do special promotions with them. They'll contribute toward it, which allows us to do generous offers to draw new people and expose them to the brand.
At what point did you start franchising? Like how many corporate locations did you have before you went down the franchise path?
So believe it or not, we're an omnichannel business. So we have a separate wholesale division as well. And that has been the focus for many years. And we came to the realization that we have, with dozens of some of the largest distributors across the United States, we have the unique ability to deliver our cold pressed juice and shots anywhere in the country. So with that, that gave us a distinctive edge compared to our competitors. That's one of our points of difference with Pure Green Franchise. Once we realized that, we started franchising in back in 2020, and we have we only started with 3 or 4 stores that we had open back in 2020, and now we have 100 plus locations either open or in development.
And how did people find out about you guys?
So really just bootstrapping, just the quality, taste, and high performance nutrition of our products really speak for itself. So people tried the products, loved it, and things blew up from there.
Yeah, I had 3 of the items and they're all great.
Awesome. And you're from Brazil, so to have your seal of approval on the acai, that's important.
So I was born in the US, but I did have spent a lot of time in Brazil, and there it's such a big part of the culture. Acai.
Oh yeah.
And it's, you guys are definitely top. Looking at, even if it was in Brazil, it would be like a very high level acai.
Whenever we have someone who spent time in Brazil or is from Brazil and they love it,
so
that speaks volumes.
The stamp.
Yes.
And the type of franchisees that you want joining, what are they like? Is it someone that it's a side hustle and they're not in the business, or do you want someone really involved in their day to day and working with the team?
So the main thing we look for really is alignment with our mission. Our mission is to build healthier communities around the globe by connecting people with superfoods. So really it's someone who has a passion for health and wellness. And when they have that spark, that's the main thing we look at. There's that. And then also, to your question, we like it when they're active in the store. Franchisees that are owner-operators, they spend at least the first 90 days in the store. They skyrocket. It does phenomenal. There's nothing like having the franchise owner in the store, interacting with the guests. That's key.
Yeah, and I think just setting the culture. No one's going to care as much about the local store-level culture, and then you brought up the word community as the owner, making sure people feel included and that everyone's concerns or their desires are being voiced.
Exactly.
The owners that you have right now, is there anyone that has like multiple locations, or do they usually have one juice store?
So about 80% of our franchisees have either opened a second one or at least have committed to opening up their second, third. We have some that have 5 open and with more in construction. We feel that that's a really good sign.
It's definitely scalable. And what are we talking about in terms of like all-in investment cost?
So on average, while it can range up to $425,000 on average, it's typically all-in capital of about $350,000.
Okay. And how does the franchisee make money? Is it, I guess if you could go through the mix in terms of on-premise versus takeout, delivery, how do they make money?
So one, it's mostly in-store. That's the bulk of the revenue. Delivery is definitely creeping up for sure. So it's maybe 15-20%. Well. Thank you. Yeah, we do a great job with the delivery. And then there's also some catering, which is really kind of icing on the cake.
Okay.
But it's mostly the in-store plus delivery is where the revenue comes from.
And with your corporate locations, they're like 1.5 miles away here in South Beach. How do you work with franchisees to not cannibalize basically your own customers?
So a great question. What we consciously space out all of our franchisees so there's never any cannibalization. From time to time, we'll allow franchisees to open up multiple units. We call it building the moat within a territory. Yes. So they may have some locations that are a little closer together, but never 2 separate franchisees. So that's a big part of our strategy. We'll never allow cannibalization.
Yeah, and I'm sure there are benefits to having like a cluster and brand recognition in a set city or surrounding cities and towns.
Exactly. When you have multiple units in an area, it's great for brand presence, and people tend to recognize the brand more easily.
Have you done any collaborations, like any partnerships with gyms at a large level? Like I know you have a partnership with a hotel brand here in Miami Beach, but I could imagine there being synergies by having like a small Pure Green in unit at Equinox or some of these bigger gyms.
Absolutely. Yeah. We always collaborate with some of the local businesses, especially the gyms and specialty boutique gyms. So we'll do sampling there, set up partnerships and relationships with local business owners wherever we open.
People complain a lot in Miami about the time it takes to open up a restaurant or any type of franchise business, frankly, anything that has a retail presence. What do you do to help your franchisees across the country sign their lease fast, get it open, and then break even, start making some money?
Yeah, great. It's a great question. Definitely, there are certain areas, especially in Miami Beach, is notorious for taking a long time. What we do is we have a great real estate team, great site selection team. So they help with the LOI. We intentionally space out the signing of the lease until we have all of the plans done, all the permits applied for. So ideally, when you sign the lease, we like to start construction right away.
That sounds basic, but I don't know. I think like 98% of franchise concepts are not doing that.
Yes.
And there's that awkward 2 to 3 month period where they're just blowing through capital, whether it's a TI that should really go to defraying the cost of operations, or it's just like a total sunk cost.
Exactly. It doesn't always work that smoothly, but we structure our leases and the terms in a way that we never pay dark rents. We never pay rent before our stores open.
So compared to some of the large brands like a Smoothie King, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, like it costs a lot more than $425 to get one of those open. How do you keep the cost low?
So we have a very small footprint. So we can go into a space as small as 500 square feet, like the one in Sunset Harbor, and as high as about 1,200, 1,300 square feet. So it's a small footprint with typically a lower rent compared to our competitors, and that really helps to keep the cost down.
And what are some keys to getting those initial customers in the first few months?
So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, a lot of support that we provide. It all starts when, during the construction process, we put up window signers. So on the windows, the coming soon graphics, we use QR codes to get new hires in. It starts there. Then we're doing a lot behind the scenes in terms of SEO, search engine optimization. We're building out for our franchisees, the Google business profile for them.
Smart.
We're doing all types of SEO. We set them up with our own company page on our website. We build out an online menu for them. And all of that is happening behind the scenes while their store is being built out. So all that's happening in the background. We have a monthly franchise call. There's a different marketing promotion going on every single month. We send all of the materials, the poster boards, the flyers, everything directly to the stores for our franchisees. Send them all the graphics. We have a full-time creative director who's fully available to do custom artwork for our franchisees. So there's a lot happening to help them market.
So in terms of like dividing roles and responsibilities, you're doing product innovation, negotiating with the suppliers, doing the marketing. The franchisee, I would imagine, they're responsible for hiring, training, sometimes firing. Anything else that the franchisees really more focus on, or that I didn't mention that you're providing a ton of value?
So a big part of what our franchise partners do is really create the culture in their store.
Okay.
It's interacting with guests. It's maintaining the team members' spirits, keeping them up, keeping them motivated, making sure they're greeting every single guest that comes in, learning their names, memorizing their orders. That's a big part of building the culture. A lot of our franchise partners will write handwritten cards. So when you got your delivery order, it's a new store, but our goal would be to have a handwritten note. Thank you so much. I see that it's your first time ordering with us. Thank you so much. So doing things like that to really leave a legendary and memorable experience.
That's definitely memorable.
Yeah.
I would remember that.
Yeah, that carries a lot of weight.
Yeah, it's like 1 in 1,000 in terms of like ordering food.
Right. And if you think about it, who does that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's really going above and beyond. So that's really what we strive to do. And with our franchise partners, that's really up to them to create that culture in their store.
How did you draw this inspiration? Like, what other companies, if you don't mind me asking, like, have you drawn inspiration from in terms of the community and the customer experience?
Sure. I think that Apple is one of those companies for sure. And so a long time ago, before I started Pure Green, I'm a big Apple fan.
Yeah.
And Apple actually active recruited me to run their retail stores.
Oh, sick.
And I had no intention I'm an entrepreneur at heart, so I had no intention of actually working for them. But I'm like, you know what? I can learn a lot by just going through the process. Went through 5 interviews with them. My last interview with Apple, it was at their headquarters on 14th Street, meatpacking industry, New York City. They timed it with a special company event where there were over 100 of their leadership team was there. They divided everyone up in conference rooms. And I went into each conference room, and there were like 20 people in each conference room. They thought they were interviewing me, but really I was interviewing them. What it boiled down to is what I uncovered from interviewing all of the top leaders in Apple is that they're not focused on sales, which is crazy because they're $1 trillion company. But what it boils down to is when you walk into an Apple retail store, what their focus is on education. is on educating their customers on which Apple product is best for you and what's suitable for your needs. And so I really was inspired by that. And so at Pure Green, we've adopted that with many of our practices. And so for us, it's all about educating our guests who come through our store, our doors, on the benefits of superfoods, on the benefits of our products, which ones that will appeal to their taste buds, which one will they enjoy the most, and here's the benefits behind it. And so we're not focused on sales at all. We're just focused on educating about the benefits of superfoods.
I love it. And I think Apple is definitely ahead of the trend. And you see that like in the B2B space, like content marketing and product-led growth, but not in like less in the physical world, I guess you could say. We try to do that at both our brands, Vetted Biz and Visa Franchise, like give a lot of information for free. And if people are interested, they'll pay, but we can share a lot of love, and the consumer, if they're interested in what we have, they'll buy. There's no hard sell.
Yeah, we've even with our franchise development team, we are really against like hard selling. We really look for franchisees that live in alignment with our mission, that have a sincere and genuine passion about what we do, health and wellness. And so our style of selling is very different. We hired a guy, his name's Brody King, he's the head of our franchise development team. What I love about him is, one, he's an entrepreneur at heart. He owns 17 of another franchise. He hired a CEO, and so he's full-time with us.
Oh, wow.
But what appealed to me about his style is he's so relaxed. He's from Utah. He's so laid back, and there's no pressure. He spends hours with franchisees just to see if it's the right fit. If it's not the right fit, no problem. And he invests just so much time with them. He does such a phenomenal job. There's no sales at all. It's just finding people that are a great fit.
I love it. And that's like key for success for like long term, talking like 10 plus years. But sadly, there are a lot of franchise systems that the founder is not involved at all in the process, and you never meet the founder, you never interact with the executives, and a lot of franchises are engaging outsourced sales companies to basically, I would say it akin to a mail order bride, because you're signing a 10-year agreement and someone is just matching you with this franchisee, and they're signing, and they probably don't fit the culture, and it's just someone with a pulse that has the capital, or they're going to leverage the hell out of what they have to open up that franchise.
There's such a disconnect with franchisors who do that, who outsource to others just to do their selling. You're right. I mean, how are you going to find a good fit if it's just a third party who's just focused on sales? They're getting a commission. It's all about the dollars, and they're not protecting the brand. For us, we're so careful with who we let into the Pure Green family and award a franchise. We have to make sure it's the right fit both ways, because we're going to be stuck with them for at least 10 years.
Yeah,
so
hopefully a lot more.
Exactly. And so we want to make sure that it's an amazing fit.
Ross, are there any key metrics that your franchisees are tracking daily, if not weekly, in terms of the business?
Oh, absolutely. We have a team of analysts, and every day they send us like just every single metric you can imagine, a breakdown of all of the different products that we have, a breakdown of all the different categories. We're tracking mainly revenue, profit, all of the basics. But, with our franchisees, they're mostly just concerned with, on a daily basis, how much revenue is coming in. And on a monthly basis, like what's the net profit? We do everything we can to maximize profit for our franchisees.
Is there any software that they're using, or do they kind of use whatever accounting software they're comfortable with?
Square, which is our point of sale system, has great back-end reporting. So it's great for just high-level business analytics. And then we just use QuickBooks Online. That's what most of our franchisees are using to do their monthly P&L.
And do you encourage prospective franchisees to talk to existing franchisees to
always
see the fit and how much money they're making and what if they're happy with?
Oh, absolutely. That's a part of our process. We strongly encourage that before you come into the Pure Green family, hey, talk to some of our existing franchisees. Hear from them. How do you feel? Like, we encourage our existing franchisees to talk about, how do you feel supported by corporate, right? Because that's such a big clash in most systems. We do everything for our franchisees. We're so pro franchisee. We really do look at them as our partner. And so that's a part of our sales process, speaking to other franchisees in the system so they can hear it from them. There's a big difference, right? Hearing it from us versus hearing it from our actual franchise partners.
Yeah, no, I've noticed you use the word partner quite a lot, and then looking at your website as well. And sadly, a lot of times in franchising, franchise brand gets bought by a private equity fund, and they view it more as a client, where it's a customer that has a contract for 10 years. And maybe the founder saw it as a relationship partnership, but the new owner comes in and wants to extract as much as possible from that relationship.
That's right. We're
And that's
very
usually
leery.
The downward spinning.
That's right. We're very leery of a lot of the institutional groups because, to your point, like they will come in, and I read a study recently where within 18 months, like 50% of the time, the founder's gone out of there, right? And I just read an article recently about a founder who they got him out, and then they started to violate all the core values and all the fundamentals of the business and dragging his name down.
Exactly. Yeah. Someone came to me with a business that wasn't ready for franchising, but was approached by a private equity fund and thought his business model was ready for franchising. And I told him straight up, like, yeah, you will probably make a lot of money, but there's a good chance like they screw everything and like your business closes. And do you want to be associated with that? Like your baby and what you built? And I think the transitions that work well from founder to private equity is when those core values remain intact. Usually it takes compound time to compound to get to that level where the core values are that solidified and it's at the franchise brand level. All the franchisees are speaking the same language.
Exactly. We know we're going to have to work with the institutional guys later down the road.
Yeah.
Well, our focus is to make sure we're large enough so that when they come in, they only have a small piece.
Yeah, that makes sense. One thing, I understand that franchisees have bought some of your corporate locations and have actually done better than, no offense, you as the operator running the business.
I'm taken. So we have 9 company-owned stores. And one of the things that we realize is we have such a long wait list of potential franchisees who want to work with us. We want our full-time focus to be on supporting our franchise partners, not on growing more company-owned stores. So we made the commitment to not do any more company stores. And we're even focused right now on selling and partnering with franchise partners for some of our company stores. We did that with one of them, and we're in the process of doing that with another one. And we'll admit, like, we're not the best at operating our own locations because it's always different, like we talked about before, having the franchise partner someone who takes ownership, spend time in the stores. You can't hire for that. It's something that people who own the business, they take such pride in there, and you can't hire for that.
Yeah, it's clear when you're dealing with the owner at a restaurant, that level of energy and everything that goes with how they're carrying themselves. Like it's hard to emulate. I mean, I guess you could coach it, but at least a year, 18 months until then you maybe get to the next location and set that culture again.
Absolutely. One of the things I love about franchising the most are the people that we work with. Some of our franchisees come from amazing backgrounds. They're amazing individuals. We have one group that their family owns over 400 units in another franchise, other franchisees that own hotels, other franchisees.
It's a lot of knowledge transfer into your system.
Exactly. And we learn a lot from our franchise partners. But such amazing individuals that had we not been franchising, you can't hire these people.
No, you can't.
So just the caliber of individuals that we get to work with through franchising is extraordinary.
And you've had a lot of Americans open up franchises that are in the process of development. And from what I understand, you've also had foreigners that are using this as a vehicle to move their family here, get the E2 visa, as well as make money, support their family.
That's exactly right. We've already had one group that got their E2 visa, and we're working with another group right now who's looking to get their E2 visa. So it's a great vehicle for us to get amazing, high caliber franchisees.
Ross, any concluding thoughts for prospective franchisees, someone that's looking to go into entrepreneurship, or perhaps they already are a franchisee or they already own businesses, and some different tidbits that you might want to offer them?
Yeah, I would just say the main thing to look at is a lot of people get into it for the wrong reasons. And so one thing I would encourage everyone to do is focus on what your passion is. Focus on, if you're passionate about health and wellness, like get into a health and wellness franchise, because you're gonna not only make a lot of money if you pick the right franchise, but you're going to execute your personal vision. You're gonna feel great. You're gonna help a lot of people, and that, along with financial prosperity, is the ultimate combination.
I think finding that match, because there are, especially like in the fitness space, there's a lot of brands that just like the unit level economics don't make sense, but there is a lot of passion, and that's the key. Like, do the due diligence, talk to existing franchisees, and if you can combine an industry that you love together with providing for your family, like, we all only have one life, might as well like do it to the max.
Exactly.
Ross, how can people contact you if they're interested in pursuing a Pure Green franchise?
Absolutely. So our website is puregreenfranchise.com. You can go there, just hit apply. My email is ross@puregreen.com or ross@puregreenfranchise.com. And I'm also on social media. I'm trying to get into TikTok these days, but mainly on Instagram. So my username there is Ross F. Franklin.
Okay, perfect. We'll have our editor add that to the YouTube description as well as the podcast notes. Ross, thanks again for coming to our office.
Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate it.
All right.